In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you how to find Brand Direct Wholesale accounts that can add an additional $5,000 in monthly profit to your Amazon FBA wholesale business. My name is Cajua, and I've sold over $4 million of products on Amazon and have taught hundreds of people how to do the same. Today, I'm showing you the exact sourcing methods that I use on SmartScout to find profitable brands to partner with on Amazon. If you've been struggling to find new profitable accounts for your Amazon wholesale business, this video is for you. Now, if you want to try SmartScout, you can get 25% off your first 3 months using my code ECOMUnlimited or by clicking the link in the description. Now, let's get into the video. Once we're inside of SmartScout, we're going to navigate to the Brands tab. So there are a couple ways to get there. You can click on Market Data and click Brands. You can click on Brands here, and SmartScout also has a new Generate Workflow that will recommend tools for you if you're a new seller and don't know how to navigate. So you could also click this button, Find Wholesale Brands to Distribute, Generate Workflow, and then it's just going to recommend to you the Brands tab and a couple additional ones as well. And again, today we're just going to focus on the Brands tab. Now, for reference, while that loads, SmartScout has a handful of different plans. I am on the business plan, and then there's also the basics and the essentials. Now I'm going to show the comparison here. What we're going to be doing is brand research. So you're going to get access to the brand database and the brand dashboard, even if you're just on the basics. So you can do most of what I'm going to show you today on the basics plan. Once you get into more advanced stuff and you're doing outreach for brand direct exclusives, you're going to want to have access to brand reports, which is underneath of the business plan. But for what we're doing today, having access to the basics or essentials will also get the job done. So let's go back to the Brands tab on SmartScout. And I'm also going to show you the filters that I use. So here I have written out all of the filters that I use, and I'm going to walk through them one by one and explain why I use them. So once we're in the Brands tab, we're going to click on Filters. So we're going to do the brand score. I like to set a max of 7 or 8. And the way the brand score works is a 10 would be a brand that has a really, really optimized presence on Amazon, good images, good listing copy, A+ content, storefront, all of that. With our method, we like to look for brands that have room to improve on Amazon so that we can offer value-added services to them. So I like to look at a max of 7. You can go as high as 8. For me personally, honestly, I like 6 or below, but for the sake of this example, we're going to go with 7. Then for the primary main category, we're going to go with tools and home improvement for this example. This is just helpful because Amazon has so many products. It's a lot easier to digest the data when you're looking just at one category. And as you grow your business, you'll most likely end up gravitating towards one category or one niche. And it is helpful to stick with one niche and to niche down. Primary subcategory, I leave blank. Estimated monthly revenue. Now, this is where you can really start to hone in the kind of brand that you want to work with and the size of the brand that you want to work with. So in the intro of this video, I talked about a brand that can add $5,000 of monthly profit into your business. So if you're thinking from a margin perspective, if you have a 10% net margin at the minimum or a 15 or higher percent net margin at the highest, if you find a brand and you end up being their exclusive partner, then you know that you're going to be needing to sell $40,000 to $50,000 in revenue. So that's what we're going to target here is brands that are that size or above. Now, depending on what you're looking for, you can obviously adjust these filters. But again, for the sake of this example and the kind of brands that I look for, this is the revenue range that I'm going to apply. Next filter that I'm going to apply is the average selling price. I like a minimum of $25 just because with Amazon fees and with shipping, once you get below $25, it's going to be much more difficult to have a healthy gross margin. FBA sellers, I leave this blank, but for average total sellers, I put a minimum of 3. This just shows that we're not going to be dealing with private label brands. And the reason why I don't do it specifically for FBA sellers, sometimes you'll come across brands where they're only FBM sellers, and by you becoming the first and only FBA seller, that's going to improve the sales ring velocity and be a value-added service to the brand. The next one I'm going to add is the dominant seller sales percentage. So this is really important to filter through brands that potentially already have an exclusive seller or where the brand is selling themselves. So we're going to set this at 50%. And all this means is Smart Scout aggregates all of the data of all of the sellers who are on the listing. And so let's say there are 3 sellers. If they were each splitting the brand products evenly and the amount of time in the buy box evenly, each one would have about 33% of the brand sales percent. So by saying the dominant seller sales percentage no more than 50, that means the top seller on this brand is only covering 50% of the products, or on average between the whole brand has about 50% of the buy box. And then the Amazon in-stock rate, similar to the dominant seller sales percentage. We just don't want Amazon to be dominating the brand, so we're going to set that to 50%. And then average review or average rating. I like to set a minimum of 3.5 stars. You can go as low as 3. One of the things that I like to look at, again, with brands is that we can improve their presence on Amazon. Sometimes brands that have a rating of a 3 or a 3.5, it's simply because their listings aren't optimized and don't give the customer enough information to make an informed purchase. So if we're able to improve their listings, that actually might be able to increase the rating percentage over time as more customers leave positive reviews. The total reviews, month growth, 12-month growth, and product count, I tend to leave these blank. The last one is going to be the storefront. So with brands that have a storefront, normally that means they're going to have a little bit more attention towards Amazon. Maybe they're working with an agency or doing it in-house. Brands that don't have a storefront, that means that we can add that as a value to them to try to get the exclusive, meaning we can offer to create a storefront for them. So with this one, I either select it as no or I leave it blank. For the sake of this example, let's select it as no first. And then the other thing you can do with Smart Scout, which is really cool, is you can save a filter. So I'm going to call this Brand Direct 50K to 100K. And we're going to save that. Okay, now we're going to apply. And Smart Scout is going to now filter through brands that meet our criteria. And our criteria, as you can see, only resulted in 7 brand searches. So in this category, there are only 7 brands that meet that criteria. So for the sake of this example, I'll continue moving forward. But when this happens in the future, it can depend on the category and it can depend on a few certain things, but you can always adjust those filters to give you more brands. So actually what I'll do is I'm just going to go from no to blank, hit apply, and see how that changes things. So it added a handful more brands, not too many. Still a very narrow search, but now we know the kind of brand that we're going to look at. And I kind of want to give you an idea of the different columns that you're seeing here. So estimated monthly revenue, average price, that's pretty obvious. We can also see to the right here, average in stock over time, total fees, product count, month growth. And here, this is some data that I like to sort by through first. So the first thing I like to do is sort by which brand has the highest number of average sellers. The higher the number of average sellers, the more likely it means that we're going to be able to get an account, whether it's directly with the brand or through a wholesale distributor, because we already can see that multiple people are getting the product of this brand. The next one is going to be dominant sales percentage. So you can click the top one or these ones underneath. And so all of these brands obviously have less than 50% of the dominant sales percentage because of what the filters that we entered are. And it also shows you the dominant seller. So this one, dominant sellers, Amazon, they're on here half the time, and there's only one average FBA seller. So that probably means that one average FBA seller is Amazon, which means that this might not be the best opportunity of a brand. But I'm going to go back and sort this by average sellers with the most amount of average sellers at the top. And then we're going to look a little bit more in depth into some of these brands. So with Smart Scout, if you click on the image or the logo, that's going to open up the brand on Amazon. And if you click on the magnifying glass, that'll then lead you to the dashboard and all of these other tools. We're going to open up this brand to the dashboard. It's going to pop open another tab, and then we're going to be able to see a lot more data on this brand. Now, while that loads, I'm going to come back over to here and show you one more feature. You can also click on this checkbox, and then you can save the brand to a custom segment, which is essentially saving it to a list. So as you're doing your sourcing and you're finding brands, you can save them to a custom segment, come back to them later, and then go more in depth through that, or give your team access to Smart Scout as well, and then forward that custom segment over to them. Okay, so in here we can see estimated monthly revenue, brand score, the subcategories that it's in, can see some of their top performing products, revenue share by seller. So there are a handful of sellers that are splitting this pretty evenly, which is always good to see. Search term traffic, showing a couple of the search terms. We could dive more into that here. Also seeing average cost per click, etc. So let's go over to the products tab and let's click on their top product that is selling estimated 112 units per month, 70,000 sales rank. Again, click on that logo to bring open the specific product. And this is also a brand that doesn't have a storefront. And I know that because when I first clicked on the brand from Smart Scout to open it up, it brought me to the search result page for their main keyword versus a storefront. If they had a storefront, when I opened up this tab, it would have brought me directly to the storefront. All right, now on this page, we are going to see some of the data that's inside of the Smart Scout Chrome extension as it loads. But on this tab, we can see that this is not a very well optimized listing. It only has one picture. There are no keywords directly in there are no good keywords directly in the title. The bullet points are very sparse. But the product is still selling decently well. And in the Keepa, we can see that multiple people are getting their product. So this would be a great brand to reach out to directly and ask to be able to sell their products, or to ask them for a recommendation to one of their distributors. I just want to see what the other sellers are. Yep, so you got a couple guys here. Some of them have bigger reviews. One of them only has 200 reviews. So definitely should be an opportunity to be able to get this product either via distribution or directly from the brand, or even from a retailer. And then the Smart Scout Chrome extension will also show you your profit margin based on your sales price, based on your unit cost. I have mine defaulting to a 50% unit cost of the sales price because we like to target a keystone margin. It will also show you the breakdown of all of the fees, and you are able to adjust in the settings what your specific shipping calculations are. So that's just an example of one brand and how you can quickly find it. Obviously, I went through this a little bit slower as I was explaining all of the steps to you, but you can see how you can use this process to very quickly find many, many brands that you can reach out to directly that fit a very specific window of criteria. And this is how I've been using Smart Scout, and my team uses Smart Scout to find the brands that we partner with directly, to find the brands that we end up becoming their exclusive Amazon seller for. And then we have that recurring monthly profit on repeat, on autopilot, and we keep stacking that on top of each other to grow a multi-7-figure Amazon business. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please like this video, please subscribe. It really helps the channel and helps get this video in front of more people that it will be helpful to. And if you want me to make more Smart Scout videos, leave a comment and tell me which tool I should make a video on next.